Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode in the Genshin Impact saga. This one's number 5227. Yep, we're deep into version 5.7 now! Today's episode is from gameplay a couple of days before 5.7, and in the form of a happy accident, here's a bit of a twist unfortunately. I happened to ran into some technical hiccups while recording this gameplay. My mech decided to take the day off and the in-game audio didn't record either. What a classic tech betrayal, right? So instead of the usual game sounds or commentary, I'm doing something a little different. I've overlaid this video with a special podcast episode that dives into the lore of a truly fascinating character, Skirk. She's the enigmatic mentor to Tartaglia, and trust me, her story opens doors to some wild cosmic implications for Genshin's future. Please keep in mind that what's mentioned is based on research before 5.7 dropped. So something's will and has changed. I've already started 5.7, and we'll share another podcast about all the new lore drops and who Skirk really is, her backstory, and my thoughts on her. If you'd like to hear it, let us know in the comments below. Thanks! So, while you watch the gameplay unfold, let the voiceover take you on a quick lore journey through the Abyss, the fate of Teyvat, and the mysterious power Skirk brings to the table. It's an experimental blend of content, but I think you'll enjoy the ride. Thanks for sticking with me, and as always, may your primo gems be plentiful.
All right, let's dive in. If you've been anywhere near the Genshin Impact community recently, you've definitely heard the name Skirk.
Oh, absolutely. She's everywhere.
Yeah, and she's not just, child's mysterious mentor. She's like a living paradox. A creature of the abyss whose existence, as our deep dive is showing, might just rewrite everything we thought we knew about Teyvat.
It's truly fascinating, isn't it? How her presence forces us to question the fundamental nature of this world. Mm-hmm. Her body seems to be rebuilt by forces we don't really understand. Her loyalties are murky at best.
Yeah, far from clear.
And her ultimate purpose could be tied directly to Teyvat's destiny itself. So this deep dive into the sources you share, that's our mission here.
Right.
To unravel who Skirk truly is, the terrifying scope of her power, what actually drives her, and maybe most importantly, what she reveals about the universe, beyond Teyvat's false sky.
Exactly. We're here to pull out the most important nuggets of info, some really surprising facts, actually, and connect those crucial dots.
Yeah.
We'll be looking at her mysterious origins, her frankly terrifying mastery over the abyss, her brutal and enigmatic master,
Psychology, yeah.
and how her story might just reshape Teyvat's entire place in the cosmos.
Oh.
So get ready for a deep dive that blends lore, theory, and even some real-world cosmic hints to make sense of this whole puzzle.
Okay, so where do we start? I think maybe let's establish a foundational truth about Skirk first.
Good idea.
She is, unequivocally an Outlander. And this isn't just a label, right? It means she originates from beyond Teyvat.
Which is different even from the Traveler or Aloy.
Exactly. And a crucial detail confirming this is her lack of a vision. That's a clear indicator her power doesn't come from the archons of this world.
And what power it is. I mean, you might look at her and think her abilities are cryo-aligned, maybe.
Yeah, visually they seem that way.
But here's a truly surprising nugget that really reshapes everything.
Yeah.
Our deep dive reveals they're actually abyssal, sourced from something called the Seven Shifting Serpent.
Which is a fascinating concept in itself.
Totally. Yeah. It's not just about throwing ice around. This specific source, as we'll unpack, it hints at a kind of cosmic evolution that could redefine her power, and maybe even Teyvat's whole understanding of divinity.
It's astonishing, really. Her control isn't just powerful, it feels absolute.
Right.
In her teaser trailer, you see her regenerate limbs at will. And no, these aren't prosthetics we're talking about.
No, it looks like pure energy.
It's like dynamic extensions of abyssal power. She forms these abyssal shards of glass that just float. She can fracture space itself, create swords out of broken glass.
And the Quartals. Instant teleportation.
Yeah, and maybe the most chilling part, she can turn enemies into glass, seemingly, before just shattering them into dust.
Whoa!
This level of manipulation, controlling the environment, space itself, it really feels God level. It affects not just her, but the very fabric of reality around her.
It's almost unsettling how casually she seems to wield that kind of power. And speaking of her status, the lore labels her a trespasser.
Mm-hmm, a trespasser.
Not a descender, at least not yet. The insights we've pulled from the material suggest she entered Teyvat through a tear, one created by a sinner.
Which raises a really important question, I think. What's the fundamental difference between a trespasser and a descender, and why does it matter so much?
Good question.
Well, a descender, like the Traveler, is seen as a cosmic being with the profound will and power to genuinely reshape a world's fate. They exist independently of its timeline, its divine laws, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Skirk, while incredibly powerful, she isn't quite there yet. But her journey, her abilities, they absolutely mark her with the potential to become one.
So she's on a path.
Exactly. A path that could eventually allow her to fundamentally alter Teyvat.
And, speaking of her status, there's this fascinating, almost wild theory that our deep dive uncovered, and it really got me thinking. It's what the community calls the crack theory.
Ah, yes, I've seen that one.
Her pale white hair, that unique floating posture she has, even her sharp eyes, they bear this uncanny resemblance to Paimon.
And the sustainer of heavenly principles.
Right, and this has fueled all sorts of speculation that she might be, a celestial being who somehow fell into the abyss, or maybe was exiled to the Dark Sea, or even came from another planet entirely.
That speculation, while definitely unconfirmed, right? It's incredibly intriguing, especially given her otherworldly sort of poise and that calm demeanor she has.
Yeah.
It hints at the possibility that someone from within the cosmic hierarchy might be the one to fundamentally challenge it, which would create this internal conflict that could just ripple across Teyvat.
That speculation really paints a fascinating picture of her origins, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Hinting at a past just shrouded in cosmic mystery. But to really understand who Skirk is now and the source of her terrifying power, we have to talk about the force that forged her.
Certology,
yeah. Also known as the Foul. He's one of the 5 sinners of Khaenri'ah and Skirk's absolutely brutal master.
Indeed. And there are theories swirling about her lost limbs, too. Some suggest it was a direct result of Certology just pushing her to inhumane limits within the Abyss, like forcing her to adapt or just die.
Super harsh training.
Others speculate maybe she was found in an already broken state, maybe a victim of some prior cosmic disaster before he took her under his wing.
Either way, his influence is clear.
Undeniable. Her entire combat philosophy seems intimately tied to the all-devouring narwhal, and it's all about total abyss annihilation. Her aggressive techniques, her use of different weapons, those glass-shattering portals, it all clearly reflects his brutal, unforgiving legacy.
And that cold, severe personality, you see.
Forged in that crucible, absolutely.
So she's basically a weapon then, but one with a very specific, almost monumental mission. And that mission is centered around finding someone called the Voyager.
What's particularly compelling here is the sheer depth of this pursuit. The Voyager isn't just defined as a person, but as a cosmic being, a descender. Someone who observed entire civilizations, entire worlds that were destined for collapse. This being might have even chosen to remain in Teyvat, somehow becoming integrated into its fate system.
Right.
And there's even lore suggesting this Voyager caused the angel race to fall, ultimately becoming the Sealies we know.
That's huge.
Yeah. And Certology seems to possess this incredibly deep, maybe even personal connection to the Voyager, understanding their immense significance.
So what makes this Voyager so monumentally important? Like, why dedicate Skirk to such a relentless mission? What are the true stakes here?
Well, the broader purpose seems to be uncovering why Teyvat itself was marked to fall in the first place.
Okay.
To understand the sinner's profound resistance to Celestia's laws, why they embraced the Abyss, and most crucially, how the Voyager might hold the key to actually reshaping destiny itself.
So Skirk's quest isn't just personal.
Not at all. It connects her directly to these grand cosmic forces that could determine Teyvat's entire future.
What really stands out to me, though, looking through this, is that despite her brutal training, despite this all-encompassing mission, Skirk doesn't seem like a blind follower.
No, she doesn't.
The lore mentions she actually questions the will behind her assignment. She seems to be seeking a deeper understanding of Teyvat herself, which hints at a possible future confrontation with Certology.
This is a truly crucial detail, I think, and it humanizes her in a really profound way. Dainsleif himself, reflecting on Certology, he apparently never believed Certology was fit to be a teacher. Yet he admits that Skirk hasn't inherited his corrupt nature, finding that a rare relief.
Huh, interesting.
It really reveals Skirk's internal conflict. She seems driven not by just unquestioning loyalty, but by a genuine pursuit of answers, of her own identity. It hints at a potential, really fascinating deviation from her master's dark path.
For many of us, though, her most famous legacy so far is probably her brutal training of Tartaglia, child.
Right, when he fell into that abyssal crevice.
Yeah, he's just 14 and Skirk found him there.
Her methods were, undeniably harsh, emotionless, direct. a clear reflection of Sertology's own teaching style.
Definitely.
She taught Child how to survive, obviously, but more importantly, how to master combat beyond Teyvat's known laws, including that devastating foul legacy transformation.
But she held back against him, didn't she?
She did, which is maybe a testament to her calculated cruelty or perhaps just pragmatism. Unlike her, he couldn't regenerate limbs if she went too far.
And she has that famous line about only speaking to equals.
Right, she has nothing to say to the weak. But she clearly saw immense potential in Child, noting a mysterious force he had awakened.
And her parting advice to him was incredibly cryptic, wasn't it? But also profound. She told him something like, mastering weapons was only the beginning.
To truly ascend, reach a state where heaven and earth become your blades and all of creation bends at your will.
Whoa, what does that even mean?
Well, it seems to refer to understanding and wielding the foul legacy art by fully integrating with the Abyss. It links directly to the potential of Descenders to fundamentally reshape worlds. It even evokes the Tricetra symbol, which basically represents the ultimate authority to dictate fate by unifying concepts of, like, heaven, earth, and consciousness.
Heavy stuff.
And her final words, as she basically yeeted him through a portal, were equally loaded.
What were they again?
Traverse the wreckage of the stars one day, and you will know the world as I see it, which is to see the real universe outside of Teyvat's false sky.
Wow. That sounds almost exactly like something Sertology might have told her.
It almost certainly is a direct echo passing down that perspective.
It's a direct challenge to Teyvat's perceived reality, isn't it? And if that's what her mentor told her, it makes you wonder about the very reality of Teyvat itself, which actually leads us perfectly into one of the biggest revelations our sources unpack, the shocking truth about Teyvat's true nature. But first, let's maybe dig a bit deeper into her power source, that seven-shifting serpent.
Right. This concept is incredibly rich with mythological links. It draws on serpent deities like the Naga, Ouroboros, maybe Vasuki.
Okay, serpents symbolizing cycles.
Exactly. Cycles of transformation, elemental mimicry, and often rebellion against a creator figure. It's found across various cultures.
Interesting.
What's even more compelling, maybe, is its connection to Chinese mythology. There's this idea of a snake progressing through distinct phases like python, anaconda, flood dragon, and so on, ultimately transforming into a true dragon.
So are we suggesting Skirk herself might be in like an early phase of this cosmic evolution?
Precisely. That's the theory. It suggests Skirk represents an early stage of a being that could eventually reach a truly divine or maybe dragon-like descender status.
Wow.
And guided and powered by the Abyss, crucially, rather than Teyvat's natural elements or visions.
And that fits with the other Abyss users too.
Yeah,
so.
It does. It's worth noting that pretty much every known Abyss user and sinner from Khaenri'ah consistently uses Abyssal power, never visions. And they're all intimately familiar with the concept of Descenders. It underscores this unified approach to power that originates from way beyond Teyvat's typical understanding.
Okay, this brings us to a huge revelation from our deep dive, Teyvat's actual physical nature. Despite what maybe some in-game NPCs might claim, the lore and, well, the visual evidence strongly indicate Teyvat is actually a continent on a spherical planet.
Yes, exactly. And the spherical planet is apparently encased by a dome known as the false sky.
Like a snow globe?
Kinda. Imagine it like a cosmic terrarium, a magical, maybe physical barrier that either protects Teyvat from something truly terrifying outside, or perhaps serves as a kind of prison.
Protection or prison?
And beyond this dome lies the Dark Sea, this vast, ungoverned region where the laws of the Seven don't apply. It's directly exposed to the raw cosmos beyond.
And that exposure explains the Abyss.
It's believed to explain the far greater presence and influence of the Abyss in those outer areas, yeah.
And it gets even more dire, doesn't it? The lore suggests Teyvat is located way out there, like at the very edge of a spiral galaxy.
A remote placement that really aligns with its cosmic isolation. And the Voyager, that mysterious descender we mentioned, they apparently recorded Teyvat as one of many worlds specifically destined for collapse.
So Teyvat was doomed from the start.
Pretty much. By all accounts, it was a doomed planet, but the presence of this dome, the influence of the Abyss, and the profound intervention of Descenders seem to have stalled its inevitable collapse.
Holding it back.
Exactly. Effectively preserving Teyvat in this weird, suspended state, like stasis, somewhere between life and death.
That's a precarious balance.
Incredibly precarious. And it explains why beings like the Sinners, the Travelers, the Archons, and now Skirk aren't just powerful figures, but wield such pivotal roles in its ongoing fate. They're key players in keeping this balance, or maybe disrupting it.
Okay, now for the really mind-bending part we teased earlier, the Crimson Universe, and what it might imply about black holes.
Right.
In Skirk's teaser, the universe outside Teyvat's dome glows this deep, ominous red color. And our sources suggest this isn't just, like, for cool visuals.
No, definitely not just aesthetics. That deep red glow in our actual universe, that kind of crimson color in space, can signal immense, dangerous cosmic energy.
Like what?
Like the kind you see swirling around a supermassive black hole, or maybe an active galactic nucleus. So when we see that in Skirk's teaser, reflecting in her eyes like a crimson sun, it's a terrifying hint that Teyvat might be dangerously close to something truly colossal and destructive, far beyond its known local space.
That is a genuinely chilling hypothesis.
Yeah.
But, okay, for listeners who might find that concept a bit hard to grasp, how could this false sky possibly contain something as immense as a black hole's radiation? Are there any hints about how that might work?
Well, that's the core of the hypothesis, isn't it? The false sky wouldn't just be a physical barrier. It would have to be an incredibly powerful magical containment shell.
Okay.
Designed specifically to shield the entire world from the immense radiation, the gravitational weirdness, maybe even like eldritch dangers coming from this outer red cosmos.
So inside the shell, it's safe-ish.
Relatively, yeah. Within the shell, Teyvat remains habitable, but the Abyss, in this particular theory, isn't just some metaphysical threat. It could be a direct consequence of Teyvat's proximity to a galaxy that's on the verge of collapse.
And the black hole itself.
The black hole itself could potentially be the end that the Voyager talks about reporting.
Yeah.
The very structure of Teyvat's outer space might actually mirror a scientifically grounded cosmic horror scenario.
So just to recap here, we're basically saying Teyvat might be living inside a cosmic hazmat suit. My mind is officially blown. What was your initial reaction when you first pulled this thread together?
It's a staggering thought, honestly. It just fundamentally shifts your perception of Teyvat, doesn't it? From just a fantastical world to one that's suspended in this incredibly delicate, almost impossible balance, constantly on the brink of being overwhelmed by forces far grander and more terrifying than anything we've even seen within its borders. It just transforms the entire narrative.
Okay, let's trace Skirk's own journey a bit further then. We know her alien origin story reveals she was rescued, right? As a young girl, rescued from fate by Sertology during the Cataclysm.
By a master who, as we know, absolutely despised destiny.
Yeah, and her own world, it's heavily implied, was very likely destroyed.
And this personal cataclysm seems to be a really profound driving force for her. Her journey through Teyvat, it's taken her to some historically and mythologically significant places.
Like where?
King Deshret's domain, with all its forbidden knowledge. The bamboo forest connected to the Moon Sisters. Hyperborea, where the first Seelie supposedly fell, and where she apparently met Alice.
Wow, Alice too.
Yeah. The Sword Cemetery, even the Mondstadt Beach, where the Traveler first drew the Sustainer. This trail suggests her arrival in Teyvat might have been around the same time as the Travelers, which subtly intertwines their paths.
Her lament really captures her internal conflict too, doesn't it? That line. This view of the stars, it seems timeless, but all it takes is an instant for everything to come crashing down. The only choice is to forge ahead.
That's such a deeply personal statement. It could refer to her own world's destruction, maybe other worlds she's witnessed fall, or even Teyvat's impending doom that she foresees.
And ideologically?
Ideologically, Skirk is firmly aligned with Khaenri'ah's rejection of fate, their embrace of forbidden power specifically to break destiny's chains.
And it's interesting she fights both the Abyss Order and the Black Serpent Knights.
Exactly. That's notable. It implies her true alignment is with the Sinners, with Sertology and their distinct cosmic-level goals, not these more localized factions within the Abyss.
And as we look beyond Teyvat, the information we've gathered really hints at a massive narrative shift coming, doesn't it? Like, Genshin Impact seems to be truly entering a Star Rail era.
It feels that way, yeah. Characters like the Voyager, even the Primordial one, they share these striking similarities with powerful entities like the Eons from other Hoyoverse titles.
Right.
And this connection, especially combined with Skirk's confirmed alien origin, it further suggests Teyvat's deep integration into the larger Hoyoverse. It's paving the way for truly cosmic storylines that extend far beyond just the current 7 nations we know.
Expanding the scope.
Significantly, showing us Teyvat isn't just one isolated world, but part of a much grander and frankly more terrifying universe.
Which brings us back to that ultimate question about Teyvat's false sky. Is it an ark or is it a prison?
It's truly presented with that dual nature, isn't it? On one hand, the false sky could absolutely be seen as an arc, a salvation, a protective shell against some unknown, terrifying cosmic threat, possibly related to Honkai or Nihility, forces from outside Teyvat.
Which would kind of justify the Heavenly Principle's strict rules.
In a way, yeah, it would justify their extreme measures to protect Teyvat. However, for those living within it, unable to access forbidden knowledge, unable to reach beyond, it absolutely feels like a prison.
That inherent tension.
Exactly. Human curiosity inevitably challenges these boundaries. It makes this a central and kind of tragic tension in Teyvat's ongoing fate.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener, and how you might think about Teyvat now?
Skirk is clearly not just a powerful swordmaster or, just another new character. She's like a living link in this grand cosmic cycle. She's a warrior forged by brutal training and these immense cosmic forces, and she's standing right at the precipice of some profound transformation. Her journey of questioning, of seeking answers for Teyvat's fate, it mirrors the very questions we're all grappling with as this universe keeps expanding. Which leads to maybe one final thought to ponder. If Teyvat has always been a world destined to fall, and its so-called protection is merely a form of stasis, what does Skirk's relentless pursuit of answers actually mean for the ultimate destiny of this world and everyone in it?
Right.
Is true freedom found by breaking the arc that protects them, even if it means facing the horrors outside? Or is it found by mastering the very forces that necessitated the creation of that arc in the first place?
I hope you enjoyed that little dive into the enigma that is Skirk. If you'd like to see or hear more lore-packed podcasts like this layered over gameplay, let me know in the comments below! Your feedback seriously fuels these experiments. Thanks again for tuning in. Don't forget to like, comment, follow, and subscribe if you haven't already. And hey, did you manage to pull Skirk in 5.7? I'm curious who's been lucky with their roles. Wait, before you go, we have a few more minutes in this gameplay video, so this would be the perfect time to tell you about the lore videos we have been working on. First off, a massive thank you for joining me on our incredible deep dive into the mysteries of Natlan. We've spent 5 full videos uncovering its lawless nature, its ancient moon power, the convergence of Teyvat's most powerful factions, and its terrifying role as the nexus of the coming celestial war. If you haven't seen that series yet, seriously, go check it out. You can find the link in the description. But here's the exciting news: our journey into Genshin Impact's deepest lore is far from over. The secrets of Natlan have set the stage for something even bigger. And now that we've explored that terrifying frontier, we're ready to peel back the layers on the figures who are central to Teyvat's darkest history and its chaotic future. That's right, our next video series is going to be an intense, 5-part exploration of the 5 sinners of Khaenri'ah. We'll be dedicating a full video to each of these fallen geniuses. We'll uncover the alchemical ambitions of Rhindaughter, Gold, and her gilded ruin. We'll delve into the tyrannical wisdom of Hraptiter, the Wise, and his shadow lore. We'll explore the prophetic visions of Vedrfolnir, Dainsleif's brother, and his void tide. We'll confront the destructive purification of Surtalogi, the Foul, and his ashen flames. And finally, we'll face the vengeful might of Rerir, the Avenger of the Moon, and his collapsing sparks. We're going to explore who they were, what their sins truly meant for Khaenri'ah, and the terrifying dark element powers they now wield. And trust me, that's just the next step in our grand lore adventure. After the 5 sinners, we have an entire lineup planned to fully explore our overarching light versus dark elements theory. We'll be doing a 3-part series on the Khaenri'ah nation itself, followed by a 3-part series breaking down the light elements and their archons, and then another 3-part series focusing on the dark elements and their key wielders like Dainsleif and Skirk. It all culminates in an overall summary video tying every single thread together. And finally, a dedicated question and answer video to answer all your burning questions. We have so much more incredible lore, mind-blowing theories, and deep character dives coming your way. Make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on. Love you all. Take care, stay adventurous, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.